scenarios listed on FSO, you will pick one to animate. You have the choice of using either of these rigs, but please keep in mind that Bunzi has the least amount of blend shapes. You will then create your characterization and backstory, which is covered in its own video. Each scenario has several dialogue choices to select from, which may influence your characterization, so be sure to listen to each and choose one before jumping further into the PrePro. After creating your characterization and backstory, as detailed in the characterization video, you will create thumbnails. Afterwards, you will create the filmed reference. Exploratory thumbnails are the creative process for finding dynamic and appealing poses, character-driven actions, superb staging, and interesting ideas. Storyboard poses should be the result of brainstorming, research, and exploration of each main pose. The action breakdowns flesh out the movements to create appealing and believable actions by linking the key poses together. You will need to digitize any paper-drawn thumbnails. Make sure the images are clear and oriented in the correct position. No sideways or upside down images. Please turn in JPEGs with a proper naming convention, not the Photoshop file. All thumbnails must indicate the tilt of the head, hips, upper torso, and line of action, in particular the curve of the spine. These rotations, or tilts, are the mechanics behind the pose. You plan where the character's weight is and how the body tilts accordingly. This will help you be fast and efficient when you're posing the rig in Maya, but more importantly, your pose will be stronger. It will also help you with the graph editor because you will have kept track of the rotations. Don't forget the ears, antenna, fingers, and tail. The drawings should represent the character. Exploratory thumbnails are your brainstorming and research drawings. You try to find interesting, dynamic, character-driven poses to use in your storyboards. This is one of the most creative parts of animating. Don't just draw each pose once. Explore each pose in numerous ways. Find the best way to clearly portray the action, emotion, and character. Determine how the character will be staged in the environment for your pose. Keeping your drawings loose is fine. We don't need tight shaded drawings. Keep them rough but clear so that you can produce your work quickly. Keep in mind the line of action, tilt of the hips, upper torso, and the head. Draw each pose multiple ways. This will lead down some very creative paths and help you come up with better ideas and actions. Don't skimp on this process. Do lots and lots of exploratory brainstorming drawings. Find the best poses from the exploratory drawings and place them on the storyboard. This means storyboards should always have panels drawn. This indicates the camera's borders, and should have a horizon line. You shouldn't need words to describe the actions. The drawing should be showing what the character is doing. While you don't need words to describe the actions, it is advised that once you are creating the poses for the dialogue section, that you put in words on which those poses fall. This will be important to help with the timing of the key poses. Storyboard should be a visual plan of your story. These are the strongest key pose options you have from your exploratory. If you find you need to make a tweak to a pose from how it appeared in your exploratory, such as changing which arm is outstretched, that's fine. Just make sure the pose is strong and clear. Again, don't forget to clearly indicate those tilts and lines of action. Then you will create the action breakdown thumbnails. These are the drawings where you figure out how you get from one pose to another. You know the poses of the walk, so you don't need to break down that. Focus on the actions for dealing with the obstacle in the scene. How does the character change from one motion to another? What will the anticipations look like? Or how about the arcs? You'll need to work out the breakdown of anticipations for all the actions in your scene. This is a reason to keep it simple. The more actions you have in your storyboards, the more breakdowns you also have to implement. Action breakdowns can be one of the more challenging areas of the PrePro for beginning animators to get under their belt. If the storyboards are the panels of the comic book, the breakdowns define the actions between those panels. Remember, storyboards tell what happens. Breakdowns show how it happens. You may draw arrows to show how the arms or hips move to help you out, but remember it all comes down to the poses. Action breakdowns need to be appealing poses as well to create interesting actions. Here's an example of a storyboard that's okay, but will lose a few points on a couple of things. We need to indicate the horizon line or ground plane, as this helps determine the camera angle. Also need to indicate the tilt of the head, upper body, and the hips. This shows the mechanics of the pose. We want you to determine where the weight of your character is and how do the rotate Z and rotate Y correspond to the weight and the actions of the arms and the legs. Are the arms pulling the upper torso? And are the legs pulling the hips? Is the head rotating and tilting? Keep these kind of things in mind. And then of course we need to indicate the line of action or the curve of the spine. Remember, stiff poses are boring poses. So once you've explored the posing of the character, have chosen your best poses to put into your storyboards, and have broken down the actions, it'll be time to move on to filming reference for your scene. Thanks for watching.